So here's a review of the detailed post made by Fen Research about their combat rework. They say, we've been working hard on implementing our plan to merge the combat professions, but we couldn't overcome the feeling that it was rather overcomplicated compared to the live game. Other problems with the original plan included having two different levels, combat and obelisk. I did think that was strange. I don't know if anyone followed that, but they had this plan to have like a combat level and an obelisk level, with the obelisk being like relative to that episode, which, yeah, for me did seem very complicated. So they said having two different levels, combat and obelisk, meant you regularly had to add the two numbers together to work out your strength relative to a particular foe. We tried various solutions to this, but they all resulted in either important information being hidden or a confusing quantity of numbers being displayed at once. I mean, it doesn't sound that bad, but it is just an extra layer of complexity that you probably don't need. Passive combat foes had to be split between foes which were used to level combat and foes which were used to level each obelisk, which, yeah, that is very artificial, fair enough. It didn't 100% solve the feeling of having to restart combat when you enter a new episode, as you only got to carry across your combat level, not your obelisk level. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think they were right to come up with a new plan. So they say they weren't happy with it, and they decided to take a fresh look at the problem. They finally came up with a crucial component they were missing: personalized striping. Right now, this is the complicated bit. This is what really gets people's heads in a twist, and rightly so. So yeah, they talk about striping, which we're going to try and understand together now. So this was the key to unlocking the straightforward single combat profession which lots of players, including us, wanted all along, but without running into problems when we added new episodes. We've already made significant progress in implementing this new plan, and we're hoping to launch it very soon. Read on for further information. Okay, so number one, there'll be single combat profession shared across all episodes. I think that should be there will be a single combat profession shared across all episodes, which they should just call guard, right? Or, yeah, because you're a town guard, they should call you a guard. There'll be a single global combat profession. There'll be no episodical combat professions and no obelisk levels. The combat profession will initially go up to level 2000, reflecting 500 levels for each of the 4 launched episodes. Maxing out your combat will require the same amount of effort as before, i.e. reaching the new combat level 2000 takes the same time as reaching episodical combat 500 in all 4 episodes. The combat profession level cap will increase by 500 each time we launch a new episode. Yeah, that makes sense. So every episode you can get 500 more combat, okay? The leveling up is striped across the launched episodes. You'll fight all the skin 1 foes in all episodes. So, you know, in the first episode, you know how your crows, you got your basic ones, and then they get upgraded and upgraded. So before you kill your skin 1 foes, you know, the basic crows, and they don't get upgraded until you've killed all the basic enemies in the first episode and the second episode, or in every episode you've unlocked. Hey, it's Future Gold Rocket here. I'm just editing this, and I just wanted to be clear with the terminology I'm using. So you can, of course, not fight the foes in other episodes, but you'd be training on lower level foes. So it's not that you have to kill every foe to unlock the next level foe. You just need to get to that level. So you could just train on the lower level foes, but it would be more efficient to go up and sequentially fight each type of enemy in each episode as you train up. When you've leveled up beyond every single skin 1 foe available in the game, that's when the skin 2 foes will start unlocking. So you could do that leveling up just in Hopeport and just train on lower level foes, which would take you longer. Or you could do what they want you to do, which is fight all the foes throughout every episode. And as you level up, you'll graduate to each next level foe. And when you've fought them all, you should then be a good enough level to go back and fight the skin 2 foes in the first episode. So this means as you level up your combat profession and complete the main story quest, you'll fight foes in each episode in turn. When we launch a new episode, that episode's combat foes will be inserted into the striping. Inserting the foes like this, rather than just adding them all to the end, ensures new players can experience combat in the new episode without having to reach combat level 2000 first. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So yeah, you don't suddenly, you know, they don't get tagged on the end and suddenly you need to beat all the other monsters to do the new episode. It will get inserted in. So there's an example of how it would work. If only episodes 1 and 2 are launched, the striping would look like this. The interesting thing is, this isn't about what episodes you have unlocked. This is about what episodes are launched. So you could be grinding Hopeport and to train on the skin 1 foes in Hopeport. And actually, it'll be more efficient to do the high level foes in Hope Forest or Mantaban. But if you're only in Hopeport, then you can't do that. And you just have to train on lower level foes. So yeah, they say here's an example, right? You've just got Hopeport and Hope Forest, and then they launch episode 3, and then the striping looks like this. They insert the Mantaban skin 1 foes. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure if I like this. It might just be the way they've worded it. It would be nicer if rather than inserting this into your stripe when they launch a new episode, I think they should insert it into your stripe when you unlock a new episode. That makes more sense to me. But either way, you know, it's good that they don't just tag them all on the end. So you got to fight, or if we look back in the game, if we look at our combat profession at the moment, take guard, for example. Now in the new profession, it would just be all in one. It wouldn't be split between episodes. But you see how these go up? And so when we get to, where is it? I think it's the crows, yeah. So we fought at level 0, we fought Glint-Eye Death Crows at skin 1. And then when we get to level 10, they get upgraded to Beady-Eye Death Crows at a higher level. So what they're saying is this would be one big list for all episodes, not just episode 1. And this would go, I guess it would go up to the plants here, or the ghouls, sorry. And then you'd get all the level 1, all the skin 1 Mantaban enemies. And then you get all the skin 1, all the skin 1 Hope Forest enemies, then all the skin 1 Mantaban enemies, then all the skin 1 Chronopolis enemies, and then the skin 2 Hopeport enemies would unlock. So only then would you get these guys. So this, for example, this enemy wouldn't be level 16 anymore. They'd probably be more like level, I don't know, 60, 70, 80. Because you'd go through all the enemies in the game first before they got upgraded. Now, I'm not sure I like that, because if you think about Room Locked, for example, he's not going to see, you know, the Chronopolis enemies for a long time, which means he'll be stuck training on level 14 ghouls, even when he's like level 70 guard. So I'd be interested to see whether they actually add enemies into the striping when new episodes are launched, or is it just for when you unlock the episode? For me, it makes more sense for when you unlock the episode. So let's carry on looking at that. Because they do go into a lot more detail. They might have even already addressed that. Now they talk about personalized striping. So the insertion of foes when we launch a new episode would cause 2 undesired effects. There may be some foes in the new episode which you have surpassed in combat level already, and you never get to fight them. And there may be some foes in existing episodes that you previously surpassed in combat level that you would now have to fight again due to their level increasing. To resolve this, we'll personalize the striping based on your combat level at the time the episode is launched. No new foes will be inserted at a level the player has already surpassed. So their level will scale to yours. Okay, great. They will instead be inserted so that their combat level is just ahead of the player's combat level. And no foe you have already surpassed will change in level, so you don't need to fight it again. I kind of want them to change in level, though. Because if I'm stuck in Hopeport, I want to get to the higher level Hopeport enemies without having to train on Hope Forest and Mantaban enemies. So this plan ensures that every player, whatever their combat level, gets to experience all the foes in the new episode and doesn't have to revisit foes they previously surpassed. Using the same scenarios above, where only episodes 1 and 2 are launched, you've beaten all the skin 1 and skin 2 enemies. You're now quite a high level, and this is what the striping looks like. So you just graduated to the skin 3 enemies. And then they launch the new episode, and suddenly you are no longer training on skin 3 Hopeport enemies. Instead, you're training on skin 1 and skin 2 Mantaban enemies in the new episode. So you get all the previous skins of the new episode are now scaled to your level, and you train on those. And only when you've surpassed all those is it then appropriate to start getting the skin 3 foes for the other episodes. Interesting. Oh, another solution they might have, actually, rather than say just have the enemies unlocked when they launch an episode, one way they could do it is say, rather than wait till you launch the episode, they could instead say when you unlock the episode. But there's another way as well. If you make all the skin 1 enemies across all episodes roughly the same level requirement, it doesn't even matter. So that might be the case, right? It might be legitimate to train in any episode you want. And it's fine. Once you get to a high enough level to fight the Skin 2 foes in Hopeport, you could also fight the Skin 2 foes in Hope Forest, maybe? Not 100% sure. But yeah, then they talk about quest bosses, so this is interesting. The level of a boss foe will always be a fixed number of levels above the weakest foe in the same episode. Yeah, so they're all scaled to you. So the boss will be scaled to you as well. The exact number of levels will depend on the difficulty of the boss. Because the level of the weakest foe in the episode is personalized, this means the boss levels are also personalized. This ensures that when a new episode is launched, the level of all new boss foes in that episode will always be an appropriate amount ahead of your level. So that's when it's launched. So you can still train and beat the boss. It's not like the boss is going to continually level up. But when the boss is introduced, his level is then calculated based on your level at the time, I think. So now they talk about free players. Oh, we get onto items in a bit as well. Okay, we'll just cover the free players bit. So they're going to personalize striping based on free players versus premium players. So obviously, if you don't have episodes 3 and 4 because you're a free-to-play player, they will still personalize the striping to you. So you're not going to have Mantaban unlocks here and Chronopolis unlocks here. It's just going to be between Hopeport and Hope Forest. This is what I was talking about, right? Even if I'm premium, but I'm doing like a room locked account and I've not unlocked this episode, I don't want it to be in my striping. I only want it to be in my striping if it's in an episode I've unlocked. So when you first purchase a premium pass, you insert all the premium pass episodes using the same mechanism as before. So what happens is if you're free to play, you don't get the big long list of all episodes. You just get enemies scaled for the episodes you have access to. And then if you renew the premium pass, or if you buy the premium pass, then it goes to the premium pass striping and you get the other enemies inserted in here, just like as if they'd launched the episodes. And if you're free to play, your combat cap is level 1000 because you only have 2 episodes and it's 500 levels per episode. Interesting. And yeah, the combat cap is still 50, only 50 if you've not chosen a faction. That's rough. But I do get it because they want you to pick your faction, so they need to get into episode 2. This is why my room locked account needs to get into episode 2. He's not far off now, actually. So weapons and armor. So weapons and armor can now be used across all episodes. Great. People are going to love that. They no longer need to be tuned to an episode. Rare weapons and armor can still be infused together to create epics. Of course, great. Foes will drop weapons and armor up to their level, same as now. Weapon crafting. The maximum level of a weapon you can craft is your crafting level times 5. Fair enough, because your combat level can be 5,000. No, well, at the moment it could be 2,000, but your crafting only goes up to 500. So the maximum theoretical weapon you can craft is level 2,500. So you'll be able to craft weapons suitable for all of episodes 1 to 5 using the current weapon crafting professions. They do have a plan for episode 6 and beyond, which they will reveal later, and it will not devalue Mind of Mantaban skills. So they'll do something to scale the skills beyond 2,500 as well when it's relevant. The price of crafting weapons will need to be rebalanced so that despite the new 5 times multiplier, the wealth gain at each level of crafting remains the same as currently. However, we also need to make sure the wealth gain at each level of combat remains the same as currently. To achieve this, crafted weapons will have a different cash value than combat weapons. That makes sense, right? Because if it drops in combat, it's rarer than if you're just churning them out in crafting. And yeah, and the levels are different as well because the combat drop weapons are a level of the creature, whereas the ones you craft are nothing to do with the creature's level. It's to do with times 5 your crafting level. So they're just completely different mechanics in which the item levels, so they're going to be priced differently as well, which makes sense. Crafted weapons will be indicated by a new icon so you can distinguish them when trading. So if you're doing player-to-player trading, you know whether what you're buying is a player-created item or a mob-dropped item. Then they talk about obelisks. So we're getting into the weeds a little bit now. These are more specific things. So obelisks will no longer be used for tuning or for infusing. Obelisks will be used to enchant profession equipment. Oh, that's cool. So when you enchant like your fishing rod, use an obelisk. That's interesting. So you take it to the obelisk to enchant your equipment. They're going to obviously change the tutorial quest to update for that. The enchantress will relocate to the mine of Mantaban and become the infusionist, which makes sense because you make your weapons there, so let's have the enchantress there as well. The Lost and Found quest will be very slightly modified, so you have to help the infusionist instead of dabble to unlock infusing. Okay, that's fine. So that's for the higher tier quest anyway, which actually I haven't done on this account. Crime Den raids. So the foes in Crime Den raids, currently they're just your detective level. That'll now need to change. to be your combat level. Because if you're combat level 2000 or 1500, say, and you're coming and fighting a level 5 enemy because your detective is level 5, it's a bit silly. So they're gonna set the enemies to the level of the crime den plus the level of the weakest foe in the episode. So they're always going to be scaled again to your level because the weakest foe in the episode is scaled to your level. That makes sense. I mean, this is all pretty sensible. Potion reagents. This is interesting, and I like what they're doing here. So currently, most foes in the mine of Mantaban drop reagents because there's no like foraging there. With higher level foes dropping higher level reagents, this is the only way of obtaining those reagents. However, with the foes being striped across episodes, the skin 2+ foes become much higher level than currently. So yeah, because you won't unlock the tier 2 foes until you've got a high combat level through episodes 1 and 2 and 3, then it'll make it much harder to obtain the higher level reagents. So they're making it so all combat drop potion reagents can be gained from skin 1 foes. So you don't have to wait for the higher skin 2+ foes. And it means that for some of the reagents, they'll need to change which foes drop the reagent. So this is nice. So this now goes throughout all episodes. So for example, the Brambleth Thorns will be a potion reagent dropped in Hope Forest. Metallic Tooth will still be in the mine. And the Spectral Hair will be in Chronopolis. That's pretty good. I like the fact that monsters are dropping more reagents in other episodes too. Leather offcuts. So some foes drop leather offcuts, which is the same as the reagents thing. You know, higher level foes drop higher level offcuts. So they're going to change it so that brown leather offcuts are dropped by skin 1+ foes. This means they'll need to be dropped by 4 different foes. So yeah, I like that. And the leather is, I don't know how much it'll affect people because the offcuts are only used for the AFK skills, but it's still important they've considered it. So you can get the black leather offcuts from merchanting rather than from drops, and the brown leather offcuts you can get them from skin 1+ foes rather than skin 2+ foes. Okay, so again, it's just going to be scaled the same way the reagent's going to be scaled. Okay, that's good. Okay. Oh, combat rework. There's even more detail further down. Capes. So this is more of an aside, really. The graphics drawn for the episodical combat capes will be reused for new episode capes. An episode cape can be unlocked by reaching a certain level in every profession in that episode. So instead of, obviously the combat cape only went up to level 500. Now that combat's going to go to 2000+. They're going to create new combat capes, which will be unlocked by reaching these levels. So quite a lot, actually. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's going to be 16 new capes for combat. That's insane. Oh, well, I guess it'll be one long cape. We'll see how that looks. I guess it'll be one cape with lots of elements to it that grows and grows. Maybe they'll do something different. I can't imagine it being 16 layers long. It might like drastically change every 4 or 5 unlocks. So there's going to be a new combat cape, and the current combat capes will be made into episode capes. So you're currently the level 50 guard cape will become the level 50 hope port cape. So once you've got level 50 in every skill, you get that cape. And the same for the other episode combat skills as well. Okay, fine. Nice they've thought about that. So save game conversion. Your new global combat level will be calculated by taking into account how much time it takes on average to reach the level you've achieved in each of the episodical combat professions. We cannot make it just the total of your episodical combat professions that it would be fair to all players, because some levels take longer than others. Yeah, if I've got 50 in every episode, that's a lot easier than getting 200 in one episode. So they're right to do that. So your total level will change when we launch the update, but it's fairer than ignoring the difficulty levels. Your combat level will not contribute to any episode level because it doesn't belong to a specific episode. Your episode levels will therefore go down accordingly. Fair enough. That affects the leaderboards because once combat is combined, there's just a single combat leaderboard. They're going to preserve the existing episodical combat leaderboards as legacy leaderboards. That's nice. So if you've achieved something even before the rework, it's going to be stored there forever for posterity. So you'll still be at whatever position on the leaderboard you're on. That's nice. That's very respectful to the players. Old episodical combat capes will be refunded. Oh yes, so of course you'll lose your current combat cape and you'll get your money back for it. And then you can buy an episode cape if you've unlocked it or whatever you want. That's nice. You just get your money back. Weapons and armor. So existing weapon armor levels will be scaled up to match the new combat level scale using the following equation. New weapon level is the old weapon level plus the new combined combat level minus the highest of your previous combat levels. What? Oh, so if you've already got a weapon or armor, it's going to have its level rescaled to whatever the old level was, plus a scaling of your new combat level. Oh, yeah, minus your highest previous combat level. Okay, so they're just going to rejig the weapon level that you use currently so that it's roughly aligned to your new combat level. That's fair enough. They've thought about everything, haven't they, here? Weapons and armor which were previously tuned will become combat dropped. And weapon and armor which was previously untuned will become crafted. Oh. Do we need to tune all our weapons and armor? I have a feeling the combat dropped items will be worth a lot more than the crafted items. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a financial advisor. But I think I'm going to take all the untuned items out of my bank and I'm going to tune them so they become combat dropped items on the update hits. I think they'll be worth a lot more. Right, this is cool as well. This is just a sneak peek of the combat rework. So the upgrade tree is largely unchanged from our previous blog post and is still planned. They'll launch the first phase of the combat rework, which is combining the profession, and then they're going to put the upgrade tree in. So that's a nice to have that comes later. Fair enough. Yeah, focus on one thing at a time. Get it right. So here's the tree. Yeah, these are like skills you unlock as you get more combat levels. So you've got like a currency, which is probably just per level. You've got a point to spend on this stuff. It might cost one each, or it probably costs, like the higher tier stuff probably costs multiple levels to unlock. And you get like a buff to your hammer mage abilities, or like that looks like a special defensive ability. I guess that's more cryonite protection or more cryo protection. And that's more cryo damage, for example. And there's some interesting things in here, like more necro damage. I don't know what this might mean. But yeah, I mean, I must admit, it still looks a bit basic, but I mean, it's right at the start of this MMO, right? It's stuff to build on. And it's certainly a step up from the current combat system. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that in action. So yeah, interesting. What do you think about this? I think it's a good thing. I'm interested about the striping. I think they need to be careful about people who are, maybe they pay for premium, but they're still only maining one episode. Like, you don't want to force them to only fight low-level foes because they're interested in that episode. They need to do something about that with the personalized striping, which I think they will do. It's going to hit content creators who are doing things like I am with the Room Locked series, but I think they'll think about that. Otherwise, it looks brilliant. And they've thought about everything. They've thought about how it impacts leaderboards, which personally would never have occurred to me, how it impacts your current equipment, how it impacts even things like crime den raids, which normally I think would have been a miss in most developers, to be honest. Yeah, they thought about everything as far as I can tell. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think they'll implement it very well. I do think that you should probably tune all the stuff you have in the bank if you can, because I think that the combat dropped items will be worth more than crafted items, but I'm not 100% sure. So take that advice at your own risk. I hope you find this helpful. I do have a more concise summary video of this as well, which you can check out. It'll be linked in the card above and at the end of the video. I stream Brighter Shores and RuneScape every week, and I have videos coming out regularly. So if you enjoyed this and want to see more, then please consider subscribing so you get my videos on your feed and you can see when I go live. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Have a great day.